Hi friends from around the world, counterfeiting in the metaverse. You know that the metaverse is something which is becoming reality. Matrix was in the past, Matrix will be the future. We are somewhere in the middle with the metaverse, which is a virtual and augmented reality, another layer on the reality we used to know in the past. So it is something very new, but it is the next big thing, I would say, in the evolvement of industry. It is a big opportunity. It is already a trend with regard to some monetizing, with some industry traction. So it is something which is becoming promising and, so to say, the future of many things. So it is a kind of dematerializing. It is one part of the big trend of dematerializing our world. We have the letters are not anymore letters, right? Written letters. No, it is something which we send an email. Or the photos, that is not anything in paper which we look at. No, we look at the digitalized, of the dematerialized photo on the cell phone. So money will be digitalized within short term with the CBDC. So it is encrypted and it is something, an annotation, but it's not anymore the paper money we will see. And here, this is the same thing, though it is dematerializing, the clothing, for example, or the fashion, or the designs, or other things. So it is not anymore that the big brands will need to sell an item, a produced item, to the consumers. Oh, I didn't know that, but that is the truth. That is the truth. Can you feel me that an avatar will be sold by a luxury brand? So that is the metaverse. The metaverse is the virtual reality which is based upon the real reality you can see today. Now let's go to some examples in order to get a bit a taste of it. We have the gaming industry, for example, and we have the NFTs, which you already know. We have made some videos on it. So these kind of issues exist already. The gaming, where people are encountering another partner on virtual reality, having experience together, or again one against the other, or whatever it is, from different points of view, and they can see each other. Now, in the gaming industry, it is also possible that the player customize its own player, so its own ego, its own self. So he takes some clothing from, I don't know, from Gucci or from Louis Vuitton, or it puts the label of Calvin Klein on it, or whatever it is, and the boots of whatever, UGG, and then he is the avatar, he is the created self, virtual self, on the internet, on the digital version of itself. Now, if I say one of the big marks, the luxury brands, you know, a Rolex on his wrist, that would be counterfeiting, right? Now, the first thing which comes to mind is that the real brand, the owner of it, they have a trademark, a design registered, right? Now they have it registered in a certain jurisdiction, and the gaming probably is, I don't know, in another jurisdiction. So it is already from a bad starting point. Now, what happens if they have it? They have a trademark. They have a trademark registered for their goods. Rolex for watches, and the UGG for boots, and I don't know, clothing items for Louis Vuitton, and suitcases and so on. So what happens? Will they be able to enforce their rights against these counterfeiting? And who is the counterfeiter here? Is it the platform, the gaming platform, allowing its users in order to put counterfeiting brands on their avatars, or is it the user himself who chooses to put these avatars, or to equip these avatars with protected brand content? Or even worse, so that is more, we are in a new area here, right? And it is more to ask questions and to be aware of something which is ongoing, rather than provide solutions now. I will look at when the first, the first case law is coming in, the judgments are rendered, and then you will see a clearer picture. But now it is rather an aware session, that what is going on and what should be you looking at if you are in a business which want to go either into the virtual reality, or you are drawn into the virtual reality by the players from around the world. Now, they have protected for watches, Rolex, for example. So Rolex would have the possibility to enforce against Rolex, but here we have a dematerialized Rolex, so it is not a watch anymore, which would be in class, what is it, one of the low classes, or jewelry class, I don't know exactly which class it was in trademarks, but it is a material class, it's a product class, it is not a service, it is not anything else, so it's a product class. Now, this is a kind of software, right? So is the product class a suitable instrument in order to be protected against something software, which would be class 9 or so? Is that suitable? Or is it on the other way around? Is that Rolex, in order to enforce it, against whom, we will see, in order to enforce it, would it need to have protection in another class, which it was not being aware of before the Metaverse? You see the problem? It is the limitation of the protection with regard to the goods or services for which the trademark is protected. And the question arises whether you need to enlarge your protection to other classes in order to be able to enforce against this dematerialized version of your watch, of your protected watch or design or whatever it is. So that is a first example. Now, another example would be, for example, the augmented reality. So the Metaverse will be able not to use the product itself, the protected product itself, how it was, the clothing itself, but it, as I said, it created the possibility to use it in real life. So it has the big potential for the big brands around the world in order to create a market for them. Now, if it is a big market for the legit industry, it is also a big market for the de-legit industry. What happens? The Mark Zuckerberg, when he announced the transition from from Facebook to Meta, he had these glasses on, and this is part of the Metaverse. So this is where the focus of Facebook, for example, is into. Now, if you go through the street, all virtual, right? You go through the street, and you want to interact with others, and you speak to others, and you see the others on the internet, but also on virtual picture. It may be that you detect on the other a clothing which is brand protected. You want your ego is sufficiently evolved in order to have a brand protected, so to a brand clothing, a fine clothing. And this is detected only by the augmented reality. So the augmented reality in the metaverse permits you to wear dematerialized clothing. How does it sound to you? Well, for me it was kind of astonishing when I learned it, and when I went through it a bit. It is credible in the sense that everything what we see with the internet is being to be dematerialized. So we are not anymore attached to certain products. It is being everything virtual. And that is the big thing for the brands. That is the big thing for the counterfeit. And that is the big thing probably also for the judicial, in order to get to a solution, how to navigate this weird new possibilities, this weird new market. Now, the NFTs, it would be the same thing. The NFTs, the non-fungible tokens, that is part of the dematerializing of art, of artwork. And you get, well, you know what it is. I explained it in a different video. So there is a possibility of artwork to be dematerialized, to have a downloadable internet image with an autograph. That is a non-fungible token, is the autograph of a copyrighted work. So there is also the possibility that others are on the blockchain. That is, non-fungible token goes together with the blockchain, right? Now, on the blockchain, they are selling you. Well, it's not on the blockchain, but in the blockchain is the registry. But on the auction platforms, they are selling an object, so to say, an NFT, an artwork, which is yours, which is another's, which is not theirs. So what they sell is an autographed, not the work itself, but an autograph of a work that authentifies that this is the real work. But counterfeiters are navigating around. It is not the real work, and they sell you something, and it can go into the millions. There was one sold for 69 million, one of the first from People. So it is a very high value mark. And if you are in the beginning of something, as we are in the beginning of something with the metaverse, everything is unclear. And when everything is unclear, then, there are the profiteers, the scammers who come along, and the counterfeiters, and they skim the milk in the profit for themselves. So these are things we should watch out. They are evolving things. They will come to the courts, but within time. So we have to take time in order to get clarity on it. But if you are already, a startup, you are a startup, and startups are in the tech industry, and tech industry, well, is very linked to the metaverse, etc. This is where the brands and the industry is heading to. So if you are in there, you should rather be aware of what is ongoing with regard to the bad guys in the brand and the intellectual property world. And then you will, head for solutions, probably not, but see the problems in the beginning and making the development, having already the possibility of counterfeiting in mind, which gives more clear vision for the business, which makes the business more protected from the beginning, at least until the clarity is acting, is the sanity is coming through, that some protection has been evolved, some understanding how to deal with it has been adopted. You get already a glimpse of what may come, and you have the possibility to act against. Counterfeiting in the metaverse, yeah, it is happening.